Today we're taking a look at my dream AR-15 build. This rifle here was years in the making. Been building rifles for a handful of years now, and this gun is kind of a combination of all the parts that I have found that I trusted over the years that I wanted to put all into one build. So this all together cost over $7,000, around $7,400, $7,500, and that is a ton of money, but this rifle here is built specifically for me and the things that I want for it to be able to be perfect at close and mid-range. I have some other rifles that I built for long range, which I'll show you some B-roll of, but this rifle here does everything that I need within that 500-yard mark, and it also has the capabilities to do stuff under night vision. So I'll break this down completely, give you a full parts list, because I know a lot of people like that, and I've had a lot of questions about this because it has been showing up in a couple different videos, so I've had a lot of questions about the parts list, so I figured I'd just do a video breaking everything down. First, this is an expensive gun. Do you need to spend $7,000 on an AR-15? The answer is absolutely not. When I first started getting into guns, I would have never dreamed spending this kind of money on a gun. And even now it still seems ludicrous. I built this over time, piece by piece, so I guess I didn't really realize how much it was until I added everything up at the end. You can spend $2,000 on a gun to be fully set up, and then spend that rest of the money on training and ammunition and other tools and equipment to complete your gear and the things that you need. So with that being said, no, you do not need to spend that much money. You can absolutely spend $1,000 on a rifle and then another $1,000 on good accessories, and then the rest of that, spend on your training, spend on your ammunition and all the other tools that you need. But since I did spend the money on this, we're absolutely gonna break this down and go over it because it is really, really cool. But first, let's go over the channel sponsors and the companies that support the channel. So if you guys would, please show these guys some love and appreciation because I could not do any of this without them. So we got Brownells, Locks Hair and Company, Techno Knives, and Howitzer. All these companies have been supportive and phenomenal. Brownells, use code TA10, save 10% off orders $150 or more. That code is limitless, and almost everything on this gun was purchased from Brownells. So check that out and you can build this gun, but save 10%. Then you have Techno Knives. They make some really cool knives, and I've been using them religiously at work, at home, everything. I'm actually doing a giveaway here soon, so if you guys want to win, you get to pick your own. Hit up my Patreon and my members on YouTube, and you guys can be eligible to win that. Locks and Company is where I get my hair product and my soaps and shampoos and all the other things that I use. They have deodorants, beard oils, and their ingredients are very healthy and natural and things that you actually want to put on your body and your hair. Then Howitzer, they donate 5% proceeds to charity. They've donated over $2.5 million already, which is awesome, and they have amazing clothing. So check all of them out and show them some love. I appreciate them all. Let's get right into the breakdown. So some of these parts I'm going to spend a little bit more time. Some of them I'm just going to breeze over. So let's start in the back and we'll go work our way to the front. So we've got a Magpul stock here. I went with this one because it has that locking ability, and I like that because it just makes it a little bit more rigid and doesn't flop around as much. Then we've got a advanced buffer tube, I think is what they're called. It's just got a longer connection. It's supposed to be stronger. Not really sure if they are or not, but that's what I have there. All my little parts in here are Sons of Liberty Gunworks. I really like their parts kits, their bolt carriers. I'm actually going to be doing a rifle build with them, and I love their stuff, and that's what I've been using for all my parts kits for a lot of my builds. So all the little parts are Sons of Liberty Gunworks. Inside, I've got a flat wire spring because they're supposed to be better, and then I don't have a fancy buffer yet. That's not the only thing I didn't really change with this. I got the Law folder, like I said. I use that just because it's the most durable one on the market right now and the one I trust the most, and I like to be able to pack this into a Vertex bag if I can and travel. So I take the suppressor off and then I fold this and it fits right into the gamut bag, and it's a little bit more discreet. Now for my lower, I know people are gonna freak out about this because it's always the same thing that everyone freaks out in all my videos when I do my build videos is aero lowers. I think they are very affordable. They work phenomenally. I have a ton of them and I've never had any problems with them. I don't think there's a huge difference in where you can save money and put it towards something else like your optic, your flashlight, your barrel, your bolt carrier, the things that actually matter, I think is where you should do it. So go ahead in the comments, get it out of the way. Tell me how horrible the lower is because it's Air Precision, but that's okay. It's what I use. So we got a Radian Talon Safety Selector, which is the 45. I like those. The Geisley SDC trigger is my absolute go-to for triggers. Picked that up from Brownells. They had a sale going on them, and I have a bunch of those. Every time I go in Brownells, I see like a sale, I pick one up because I put them in almost all my guns. All my purpose-driven guns get a Geisley SDC. I like the two-stage triggers. It's been something I've been getting more comfortable with. It's what I have in my patrol rifle and what I decided to go with this one. Now for the upper, this is a Daniel Defense stripped upper receiver with the RAS-3 handguard. I had the Picatinny style ones. I have actually 2 of them back there, and I really like the M-LOK one a little bit better. The Pic ones look awesome just because the style looks cool, but I think this is better built for a do-it-all rifle. And then it was stripped, so it did not come with a charging handle, bolt carrier, or a muzzle device, which was fine because I was going to change them anyway, so I was okay with that. Brownells has sales on these all the time, so if you're wanting one like this, I would recommend going there because you can use my discount code and save even more money on the sale, and you can get these really cheap. I think I got my MK18 one for in the 600s, which was ridiculously cheap, especially for how much they're going right now. So they go quick, but if you're able to find them in stock and on sale at the same time at Brownells, I recommend picking them up. I went with a Radian Raptor charging handle and a Sons of Liberty Gunworks bolt carrier, which are both my go-tos right now for when I want a purpose-driven gun. They're very good quality, and I've had really good luck with them. So now for my optics setup, we're gonna spend a little bit more time on this because I think this is probably what gets the most questions and the most confusion and why I have this. And a lot of people wonder about the magnifier setup and how it works, and people wonder about the diving board setup and the D-ball, so we'll go over those a little bit more detail. So on the back here, we got a Vortex 3x magnifier. I like these because they're a little more affordable and they work really nicely. They're small, they're lightweight. I think the EOTechs are better with clarity, but when you want to save a little bit of money, I guess I didn't do super well with that, but when you're trying to save a little bit, the Vortexes are a really good option and their warranty is basically the best out there. So I have this on a Unity tactical mount. The question I get the most is what it is and how does it work and isn't it in your way? To answer your question, is it my way? No, absolutely not, because I can't see below my optic anyway, so it's the best place for it to be down there, because when it's off to my right, it's in my peripheral vision. When it's down below like this, it's not in my vision at all. I actually have a video on this on magnifiers if you guys are curious to get a little more detail, but this I have found to be a really good setup. You slap it down, it's out of your way, you can run your red dot like you would. If you want to have any kind of magnification, you flip it up, now you have 3x magnification. It makes it a lot easier to make precision shots or longer distance, 100 to 300 yards. This does have a quick detach, so you can remove this if you want to. So I'm going into a building or a house and I don't need the magnification. I've done that before where I just remove that and it's out of the way that way. But that is the setup for the back. Up here to the front is another Unity tactical riser with the Aimpoint Comp M5. And then up front, it has the 100 Concepts honeycomb. And what's that for is to reduce the glare, which I have a couple things like this here as well, which we'll talk about in a second, and like these as well, to reduce that glare and that signature from anybody that might be looking at you from that direction, the bangy end of the gun. I don't know what that means. But anybody that's on that direction of the gun, it reduces the glare so they can't see as well. Now, your obvious question is gonna be, can't you see the honeycomb? Isn't annoying? As long as you're staying target focused, you don't notice it nearly as much. If you're focusing on that as well, like you're just looking at it, then yes, you could see it. I think it has more benefits than downsides, so that's why that's on there. Comp M5 has been a phenomenal optic for me from Aimpoint. It runs off of a AAA battery for like 50,000 hours, and I think I've had this one for 2 to 3 years, and it's the same battery, and I've never changed it, and it's always on. So it's been really good, and AAAs are very common, so you're easy to find if you need them. Now, this is a HRF skiff mount. This is like a diving board setup, and the reason I put the night vision here opposed to here, I wanted to try something different. I already had night vision up here. I had night vision on the handguard down here, so this was my third option. I wanted to try it, and I actually really like it. The only downside is when you're running the D2 and you have it on like a flood pattern IR on your night vision, it kind of glares all off your gun. Don't like that, but that's about the only downside. Other than that, you don't have to worry about your handguard shifting. This is set up to your optic, which is set up to the upper, which is the most solid part of the gun. So it's a little bit more solid when sighting this in. You shouldn't have to worry about it losing its zero as much out on the end of your rifle. It is a little bit higher and up to the right, so you don't get quite as good of a parallel zero if that's what you're going with, but it depends which zero you're going with, if you're going with that or the converging, but that is a personal preference. I went with the Steiner D-Ball D2, and the reason I went with this one, because this is the most powerful civilian IR device on the market that I'm aware of, that I have used. Very, very powerful compared to some of the other ones I've used, where they're decent, they work, but this thing is like the sun. It is wild. Now, yes, it is very large and heavy, and that is a downside and not the greatest thing, but this whole gun is pretty large and kind of heavy, so it wasn't that big of a deal, and it wasn't a make or break for me. I have a Villain Industries diffuser here, and what's really cool about this is it used to have a blacked out cover here that would just prevent that reflection, and if it has it on, it would be like an accidental discharge cover. But what I did is I switched it with this because you can rotate this and make it from a flood to a spot, but what you can do is just rotate this and it goes from flood to spot that quickly. So it's just much more easy if you're in a house searching and then you flip this over because you go outside and you make that very fast transition. Going down here, this is a prototype switch from Cloud Defensive. So if you're like, I absolutely need one of those for my reins and your night vision setup, don't worry, they are gonna be releasing them. I'm just pre-testing them for them and giving them some input, but it is a prototype, so it might change a little bit. One of the things that's gonna be changed is the wire distance. That's something people have noticed, is how tight that is. It's just because it's a prototype and we were just getting it so I could test it. But really like these switches, and it works really well for the setup because I can use my momentary for this and then my constant on for this, and they actually work in dual conjunction as well, which is cool. So all my switches are right here, so I don't have to break my grip to be able to turn this on or this on. Everything is right here. If I'm using my rifle, I can use all of my lights and IR and night vision setups all with one button. Coming down here is a BCM grip with the vertical angle like that. Slate back rail covers on the bottom angle just to help with the suppressor because it gets hot, so it just helps with heat reduction. And then I've got a rain light from Cloud Defensive. There's a lot of great light brands out there, but Cloud Defensive is the one I trust the most and the one I put on all my purpose-driven rifles. Up front here, this is the 100 Concepts light cover. And what this does is not just one thing. It's not just covering that reflection, which is a really nice benefit. What it also does is prevents against an accidental click from your light. You've seen it before where you see people shooting and they're squeezing down and they're accidentally pressing their tape switch, and then that light is like flashing every time they shoot the gun. That is not something that you ever want because it's basically just a beacon of saying, hey, this is where I'm at. So you'd be able to throw that on in daytime and you don't have to worry, or if you're at nighttime and you're not using your light or you're under night vision, you don't have any accidental sunburst and then you can't see under your night vision anymore and it's annoying. So you can flip that out if you want to use white light real quickly, and then you have the ability to turn that on. But if you don't, that is on right now and you have no light. Like, these cover the light so well, like boom, on, off, just like that. And then just make sure you turn it off. But they work really well for that. And there's a third thing they do, which really isn't that important, but it is a nice little benefit. But when you're shooting without the suppressor on and you're getting all that carbon buildup on your flashlight, that prevents that. So you just get all the carbon buildup on that opposed to your lens. So that's a nice thing. Going up front, I have a JK Armament, almost did a YouTube cardinal sin and unscrewed something. So I've censored that, sorry. I'm not allowed to unscrew suppressors, which it will demonetize me, but it doesn't really matter because this video is probably already demonetized. So it is what it is. I should just unscrew it anyway. But under this is a JK Armament War Eagle muzzle device, but it lives basically with the suppressor. This is the JK Armament SBRX. This is really cool because you can change the length of your suppressor. I have some videos on their smaller ones. Need to do a video on this one, but these suppressors are really cool. This is a smaller configuration. Obviously, the smaller you go, the louder it is, but it's nice because it keeps it a little bit more compact. This is the 14.5 barrel as well. If I didn't mention that, and then you can make it longer if you want as quiet as possible. So if I threw a bipod on this and was like, okay, I want to, sit at 300 yards and be as quiet as possible, I could just throw the extra baffles on there. But I like the fact that you can make it small like this, and it's easy to clean because you can take all the baffles off. But that is this rifle in all of its glory. Hopefully that answered every one of your questions and gave you a little more insight of why I chose these. So with all that being said, it is really, really cool to show these things off and see on Instagram and YouTube these guys that have these really cool fancy rifles. Just for complete transparency, a lot of this stuff was given to me. I did not pay for all of this. I paid for a good chunk of it, but that is something I want you guys always to remember, is just because I'm on here on YouTube showing you guys these really, really cool guns, which is what I want to do. I want to be able to show you the cool products and the things I test. And I think it's cool to break something down like this and show you what I made because I'm proud of it. But I don't want you guys to spend your money irresponsibly or get my message confused. I definitely want to break this down and show it to you because it's cool, but I also want you to be responsible and know that, hey, $7,000 probably isn't the best thing to spend your money on. I would rather see you spend it on a cheaper gun, get really quality parts like these, but maybe not all together, and then spend the rest of that on training and your ammunition and get the rest of your gear where it needs to be. Because I have a family, I have kids, I have a wife that I have the responsibility to take care of, and that comes first. This comes second, and it's really, really cool and very, very, very important, especially for your Second Amendment and your rights to be able to have this, but a lot of things come first and more important than that. So never want to push them into the right direction or wrong direction. Right direction. This is the right direction. This thing is so cool. But I don't ever want to push anybody into the wrong direction. So just to have that out there. Other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed the video and the breakdown. If you guys are looking up on the channel, things I do here, there's a couple ways to do that down in the description. There's some discount codes from companies that I personally trust. I'm trying to say this really fast because the video is already really long. But discount codes in the description and my link tree helps out a ton. If you guys like, comment, share, subscribe, all those things help a ton. And of course, I appreciate all the companies that support the channel and give them some love. Thank you all so much.